We'll send out the tweets if we are live.
Oh, we're super live.
My
Super
God.
live and super social. How's everybody doing tonight?
Just ready to have a calm yet spirited debate about the games that I think are better than the games you think are good, because I am Captain Correct and you are two ensigns aboard the SS Always Wrong. And
James, no,
yeah, it's gonna
I'm
be a great
sorry. You're
time.
incorrect. You are Dr. Wrong Nick in this scenario.
Right. Okay. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Good biz. Exciting.
Uh, yeah. I don't know. I'm pretty confident that all three of us have different ideas of what should be at the top.
Let's see if we get any of you sick fucks from the COG Connected staff list to join the podcast.
Oh, God. Disgusting.
We've got what I assume to be nobody so far, but that's all right.
I don't know. Is the internet ready for that?
will, because we will have, right, a couple COG Connected staff joining us in a little bit.
Yes, we will. Yes, we will. And it's going to
Yeah.
be good because we're going to take what they say and incorporate that into our list.
Yeah,
And-
some case making. There'll be some case making will occur. Some people will come on and they
Yeah.
will they will I mean, we don't have a physical soapbox. That's silly, but you know, a soapbox. And yeah. And we're going to tell the people what's up.
And we do have technology on our side. I've created a Google document.
Oh my god.
And it is part of the stream, so people can see what's going on. I've entitled it "Is this the list?"
Nice.
And
I like that.
it
I like
it might be the list by the end of this.
That's cool. That's cool. Nice touch.
Yeah, and we can also switch over and look at video content, video footage, evidence from the year.
Oh man, that's huge.
Are you ready?
That is a massive implementation to our show here. Thank you,
feel-
Paul. Merry Christmas. Thank you, Paul, for that.
Happy
Happy
holidays,
Christmas,
everybody.
everybody.
Man, like seriously, that's big time.
You know, just in case,
Yeah.
everybody forgot, you know,
100%.
what Elden Ring is.
100%. Yeah, I mean, I've definitely forgotten what I just did with Kratos and Atreus over the past 35 days, so that may come in handy for me.
I know that will come up because we talked about it the other day. And it's a great game. It's just not as consistent as the last one.
Certainly not, you know.
Awesome, top to bottom. This one fits and starts.
We spoke on it last time, but it's just the fact of the matter is the second game, Ragnarok, it's just not nearly as tight as the first one. The story is not nearly. It's not a fraction of an iota as tight as the first story is. Much like I kind of compare it to the original 300 film. And that I thought that movie was so successful because literally a child could have grasped the story. It's 300 of Sparta's best. They need to go and block off this area from the Persian army that's coming through. That's it. That's the premise. It's you know, it's so simple, but like sometimes less is more, you know, and it's in the case of God of War 1 versus 2, at least these remakes. I really think less was more with the original. You know, that's that simple trek from your home to the top of the highest peak on the highest mountain to scatter your mom's ashes. Like that's pretty powerful, you know? That's pretty powerful. And I don't know if I felt anything more powerful in the second game.
Yeah. What's really interesting too is that stakes in Ragnarok are infinitely higher. You know,
Yes.
it's the fate of the
Yes.
universe. It's a video game story. But that first one is so personal. If it carries more weight, and it felt like it had more impact all the way through.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Anybody's relating to the story in the first one, even though
Yeah.
I'm sure not many have had to make the trek to the highest peak on the highest mountain to spread their mother's ashes. Still, it's it's just a tale of loss and grief and how to deal with it, and everybody can relate to that. Second story, not so much. It's a tale of gods and the politics within within the realms, and
And
yeah, it's
Richard Schiff as Odin for some reason. My God.
who fucking kill. Don't get me wrong,
Guy's great.
He absolutely kills it. Like,
Okay. I'm sorry to interrupt. That's a lie. I'm here to interrupt. I don't know the name Richard Schiff like just off the dome or anything. Can you give me and maybe some equally unenlightened listeners a breakdown of maybe some of their other large roles or just roles of any size, really?
He's Toby on The West Wing.
Oh hell yeah. Okay.
He is in The Good Doctor.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
Ooh.
So some TV that I did not watch, but people presumably have.
He's in
So,
Dr. Dolittle,
there you go.
Great.
the Eddie
That's
Murphy
a-
one.
Okay. Wow. I don't know what I expected when I asked that question. What I got was distinctly unsatisfying, but still technically qualifies as information. So I'm gonna leave it at that.
Jurassic Park: The Lost World.
Drill down a little for me. Okay, a lot of people were in that movie. What did he do? What was his deal?
Well, he
That's hard to say. He did some things.
So he did some things. How about I Am Sam? And let's not forget about I Am Sam, Sean Penn's Academy Award-winning performance. And Richard Schiff was in there.
Great.
He also
I
had
have no idea
a
who he
rousing turn in 1998's Deep Impact.
Wow.
Okay.
Yo, that's
So I guess
big.
it's one of those things. When I hear the voice of Richard Schiff, I might know it,
Yeah,
or I'll get a little feeling in the back of my neck, like, "Ooh, I should know this voice."
there you go.
Yeah,
2004's Academy Award winner for Best Picture, Ray. He's in there as well. So, Richard Schiff, you can't be mad. You can't be mad.
No, I'm gonna stick with my previous emotion, which is slightly confused, but
Not-
that's fine.
I won't lie.
Hmm.
I couldn't put a name to a face before Ragnarok. But now that I know that that's that dude, sure.
Okay.
I can
Sure.
go back, Yeah, exactly. He's one of those, Hey, listen, Morgan Freeman didn't become Morgan Freeman until he was like 50.
Yeah, he was.
He was just Morgan. He was just
Yeah.
Well,
Forgan Neiman.
Richard Schiff is Richard Shift. That'd be a way better
Wow.
name. Way better actor name.
I've been
he's
calling him.
Dick Shift.
The
I've been
Dick
call-
Shift. He should have been Dick Shift.
I've been calling him Schiff this entire segment, so it shows how much I know about him.
Oh God.
God. Dick
67
Shift
years
would be
old.
an amazing name.
67 years old, but so all nonsense aside, I think that we can agree that Shift is Odin. Man, he killed it. The most brilliant thing about his performance was that, I mean, if you knew the lore, you knew that he was a bad man from the get-go, but for somebody like me, coming in, relatively unlearned on the subject, I wasn't sure if Odin was as bad as they were saying he was throughout the game, because he comes in and honestly, like at the start, when you sit down with him and Thor, Kratos, Atreus, he's a nice guy. He really is. He's a really nice, personable, like he's just kind of like your grandfather, who's he's just this sweet old man. But slowly but surely.
For any viewers, I'm playing a nice little clip of our man, Mr. Shift, from The Good Doctor. if you're curious what this handsome son of a gun looks like, that's
A stud.
the
Look
All
at that.
Father. That's Odin.
Yeah, what a stud.
Our man Dick Shift. All right.
We are a couple minutes away from bringing our first COG Connected staff member, Nicola. Yeah.
Yep.
Into the fold here. I believe she should be online, and we can just bring her into the recording, right?
That's a great question. I don't know. Is she part of our server?
I don't know. Can you add her?
Maybe.
I'm
Just
This
gonna
is,
take our faces away for a hot second here while I
Yeah. We're
Futz about.
sneaking in the back door of the sausage factory here, guys. We're
it's the first time that COG has done anything like this. So there may be a couple growing pains. But stick with us because it's going to be hot.
it's gonna be
be
epic.
super informative, and we're all going to come out a bit better people.
I'm
More
really-
complete entities.
I'm really looking forward to hearing from Nicola because she's going to have, I think, different takes from what we would typically have on the show. Yeah, she's into, sometimes she's into more obscure games, I guess you could say. But from what I've seen, the games that she likes, I'll go and look them up, and they all score in the 80s, 90s. They all seem to be winners. So I'm looking forward to hearing what she was a fan of this year and what she may be a fan of in the coming year.
Okay. All right. I think maybe
Yeah,
we're doing
just-
the thing.
We just got the notification. I think we're
Did see that.
we're getting some engine lights. I getting the work going. I think it's gonna happen, boys.
Like she just needs to pop into the cast recording, right?
Correct.
We are.
Correct.
In the meantime, while we wait for her, I'm also looking forward to the big boss man himself, Alex, Call of Duty Modern Warfare Everett, joining the stream. I wonder what his game of the year is going to be, and I wonder what
Boy,
his most
yeah, that's a tough
anticipated-
one. I'll look deep into my scrying stone and see if I can't piece something together.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh boy. Oh boy, we got questions.
Okay. It's one of those things where if you've never used Discord to try to do voice and video before, you're in for what they call a fun time.
Yeah.
Because it has some cool ideas about what your default hardware is and is not really interested in hearing anything else.
Yeah, there's a bit of learning on the fly, no doubt.
Yeah, but then when you get here, it's cool. There's like sofas and shit. It's a welcoming environment.
HC sofas and thrones from
Hey,
Hamel
let's.
Hotel.
You know what else we can do with some is it a downtime? Is look at the some minor categories because there are a few on the Gotti 2022 breakdown that was
Nice.
submitted to us by the
Yeah,
Gaffiki.
like the most minor category of them all, best shooter.
Now listen, we're gonna we might
And
want to crack that particular nut with our man Mr. Everett. I
Right.
I feel
You're
like
right.
maybe
He was
Maybe
he
he'll have some
was the
opinions.
one. After all, he was the one that came in and was like, you know what? There's one more category.
it's got to be best shooter. I'm like, oh, you don't say, bud.
But you're right. Going through our voting, it did feel somewhat out of place when after going through a list of reasonable topics, reasonable questions as to what might be the best this and that. All of a sudden you get to the end of the survey and it's just what's the best shooter?
We should actually
There's
call
no-
it Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 presents Best Shooter.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, what's
Yeah.
beating COD at this point?
Oh.
I voted for Destiny. I don't know, but that's just me.
I
Yeah.
don't remember what I voted for because it was kind of a throwaway vote. I think Neon White probably did more interesting shit with the genre, but
Yeah.
also he tried to change the genre so it's anathema, so we can never speak his name again. But it'll just
Yeah.
create a new subgenre out in the far fields, and we can just sort of let that lie. But again, Neon White was pretty good. And Mel Hellsinger did cool shit within the space. And I don't know what Proteus is.
I tried Metal Hellsinger, and
Yar.
I really wanted to love it.
Sure.
The problem is that its audio and video sync up features did not work for me. Like it was impossible to get my audio and video synced up in a way that made sense. It kept telling me that I was way ahead of the beat when I was very clearly not. Anyway.
Yeah, that's the perils of those kinds of games. You know, if you're not 1000% accurate in like the algorithms behind the scenes, if they are not, it's rocket science at that point. If you are not 1000% accurate, the game doesn't work.
Yeah, that's fair.
You blow up, you know? You send a teacher into I shouldn't say that. That's
It's not too soon, but it is still kind of uncool.
kind of soon, right?
You know-
Our guest is saying that she cannot join the cast recording.
That's
Voice
correct. That is correct. We're trying to figure this out now. We're trying to change permissions for the channel while we're broadcasting.
No worries. Maybe we could switch around the time slot because we do have Everett in here at 7. First it was locked, now it's just showing this. So, while Paul tries to work on that behind the scenes, James,
Yo,
what would you say was your favorite of the games that we played together on stream over the past few months?
Ooh,
There was Escape Academy,
yeah,
Grounded, of course.
yep.
There was Spider Heck, which I think we had
Yeah.
a great time with. I feel like there was
Well, we
one more?
did
Power
Power
Wash.
Wash Simulator.
Power Wash, which
And we played to Shredder's Revenge.
there you go. It's not
Yeah.
even a
Shredder's
contest.
Revenge is it, right?
It's not
Yeah.
even a contest.
Spider
yeah.
Heck comes screaming into second place though.
Spider Heck was fucking amazing. So
Yeah.
surprising. I had never heard of it until the Monday. Excuse me. The Monday when we were looking for something to play. James recommended Spider Heck. Downloaded it. Phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah,
if
yeah.
no, go ahead.
I was gonna say it's in the veins of the physics heavy stick fighting games that people may or may not have played in the past. If you had access to, for example, a school's computer and they were not extremely diligent about
Yep.
what you were connecting to, then you probably played some of them. Maybe
That's
even at your house.
That's a great point. Think like those early but fun Newgrounds games.
Yeah.
Spider Heck captured that, but it was just a bit more modern, so it ran a bit more smoothly. It looked a bit better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Brilliant game. I especially if you have a couple friends over, you're having a couple drinks, I could not recommend Spider Heck enough.
Yeah, that one was pretty dope. So there's a category in here that I'm gonna be honest, feels even more weirdly out of place than best shooter.
Mm,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah, best ongoing game.
Ah,
It feels like something we included to appease somebody powerful, and I don't know who or
Well,
why.
it's funny that you bring that topic up because I thought that was the one that had the most glaring omission out of every single category. I can't-
Really?
I cannot believe that No Man's Sky is not
Oh.
in there and didn't win the thing. By
Oh.
far,
Oh, that's-
No Man's Sky is the best ongoing game.
That's
Ah!
that's a
Oh.
huge swing and a miss.
What?
Oh, God,
Oh.
so close.
Had
No,
it for a
so
second.
close.
Oh,
You think?
she
You
joined
think
the other.
no?
There she is.
Oh,
Oh, hey, hello.
hello, hello.
Hello, I'm sorry. This has been
A bit of a
Challenging?
struggle, but we're here now, and that's all that matters.
right after I joked that Discord was trying to keep everyone from hearing my terrible video game opinions.
We wouldn't
No, no.
dare.
No, it's all good.
We want to hear
No, I
all
don't
video
play-
game opinions.
I'm thinking the app is plotting against me.
Well, exactly. And what Paul said there is that we want to hear all video game opinions. I didn't think that it would be a necessarily entertaining show if we had guest after guest coming in here and saying that, oh yeah, God of War was the best. Oh yeah, Elden Ring was the best, etc., etc. You know, I want to hear a vast, differing opinion of what game of the year was. You know, and
I mean,
I
in
can-
that case, you're in luck because I have played neither of those games.
yes,
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
excellent. So
I don't play Soulsborne games, and I also do not play God of War games. I, at a very young and impressionable age, looked at them and decided I didn't have room for that kind of struggle in my life.
fair enough.
I'm with
Fair
ya.
I
enough.
immediately went and I started playing Shin Megami Tensei games, so maybe I'm just a liar.
Yeah, sounds
Now-
sounds like hypocrisy at work is what it sounds like.
I remember last year you were a big fan of number 5, was it?
Trust me, if I could cite games from last year, I would be raving about Shin Megami Tensei 3 and 5.
Right.
And I'm not entirely sure if 3 would count because it was a remaster, but I loved it, so.
Yeah. Fair enough.
This is the Wild West, Nicola. There are no rules. We can do whatever we want. So if you want to say Shin Megami Tensei is the best game of this year, then I'm not going to tell you otherwise.
I mean,
100%.
the problem is I haven't been playing it this year, so I don't think I can get
Ooh.
away with that.
All right.
Ooh.
I
Well,
will
that's
Fair.
the one rule.
Fair.
That, the Switch port of 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim, amazing.
Yes.
I've heard nothing but good things.
Oh yeah,
James
absolutely amazing.
James talked for like, I don't know, multiple hours about that game last year.
Yeah.
And,
Oh,
Y-
I
y-
wish I could talk that long about it, but unfortunately, basically everything I could possibly say would be either spoilers or an extended anime reference. So
that's
I
precisely
liked
why he loved it.
It's true. It's completely true. Yep.
So what did you play this year that you loved, Nicola?
I mean, there's two main answers to that. Well, three technically, but again, I'm not citing Klonoa because Klonoa is a remaster.
Okay. Okay. Fair rule.
So we're just gonna shuffle Klonoa off to the side, maybe give him a little pat. He's very cute, very fluffy, doesn't fit the purposes of this ranking.
No, but that's what I was saying. It's very much your segment here. I want you to talk about what you enjoyed the most this year.
Okay, so, I'm gonna be honest, I had been waiting about 10 years to play Crisis Core. It originally came out on PSP, which is a console that I did not have, and so I did not get to play it. I tried very hard to play it by proxy with like Let's Plays and screenshots and such, but as we all know, that's just never quite the same thing.
Yeah.
So when I found out that it was coming out with updated graphics and some tweaks to the gameplay on, a console I actually own, I came very close to losing it. I don't think you can understand exactly how hyped I was about this game. And then it came out, and it actually lived up to my expectations in basically every way, and there's only one thing that I really didn't like about it, and that's the minigames. But if I
Mm.
judge every game that I love on whether or not it has one thing I hate about it, I would not play any games at all ever, so, Yeah, it brought light and joy into my life in the darkest time of the year. I'm speaking literally. My winter's actually been pretty okay, but it is very dark outside, and this is persistently driving me nuts because I always feel like it's like 9 o'clock.
What region are you in?
Um, Vancouver Island area.
Okay, yeah, fair
So
enough.
it's dark
Gets
out at like
dark,
3:30.
yeah, real quick. Yeah.
Unfortunately, I wasn't raised here, so it is messing with
Ah,
my internal clock something fierce.
yeah, yeah. Now, being the glass half empty kind of guy that I am,
Yeah.
first, I want to ask you about those mini games that you said that you maybe not were so much of a fan of. What was it about those games, the mini games that you didn't like?
Crisis Core is at its core an action game. Like there's some little exploration aspects and you can work out some things with like relationship building depending on who you talk to and the choices you make. And they did a really great job of weaving in the story into, very action heavy gameplay. But one thing that they decided to do was try and add in every single chapter something that is, gameplay and isn't an action sequence. And I understand the desire to like maybe make things a little bit less repetitive because virtually every single side quest is just going through a short little dungeon and fighting a monster. But here's the thing, that was mostly a mistake. There's like a couple of moments in some of the chapters where the little mini game segment is actually fun. And then there's crap, what was it? Chapter 4, chapter 5? Somewhere in there. The one where you first meet Aerith and you're going on a little date with her and it's so cute. I hate the mini games you have to play to raise her affection. Aerith
Mm.
is innocent. The game designers are the ones who messed up.
Love it. I love
But
it.
yeah, no, it would be a really cute little sequence, except that either my controller was not working properly or the game is not set up to register when you're hammering the button. So I kept losing, not because I lost track of, say, how many drops of oil I was adding into the perfume, but because the first time I hit the button, the game didn't acknowledge it. Play
Okay.
these games
Two,
like 5 times each, or like 20 times for one of them, in order to
two,
raise her affection.
man, two solid explanations. Either the hardware was busted or the game is busted.
All I know is
Completely.
I used the exact same mental math for the times that I didn't get it and the times I did get it. So clearly the problem is not me.
Yeah.
You just wanted to succeed so bad. You wanted that affection level to hit its peak, to hit its maximum, to truly experience Crisis Core Reunion.
Oh no, honestly I only ended up beating like two of the minigames. There were like 4 in that chapter, and for the other 2 I played them like 3 times and then I was like, you know what? I don't deserve this.
I've got to admit, I'm morbidly curious about the mini games now. I don't think any of the three of us have played this, so
No,
Well,
but now I want
You
to
should
now.
play it,
I,
but second of all, you should also send, like, at the end of your very nice email to the developers or your glowing review, but why didn't you remove the mini games or at least make them optional?
hey, so I played the original 100 or so years ago, and
Words cannot express how jealous I am.
it the thing I remember the most is the kickin' acoustic guitar soundtrack that accompanied the whole thing. That'll be in my brain until it stops working. But like,
Okay, well, like, good news. They
mm,
redid the soundtrack. It's
mm,
still amazing.
awesome. I don't remember the minigames.
Again, I'm very, very jealous because the mini games stick out in my head as like the only thing I didn't like.
Huh, okay. Huh.
Like,
Huh.
okay, the The pacing is questionable, but I'm along for the ride. I'm having fun. I don't care if there's a time skip every other chapter.
So
Love
Sometimes
us.
character models look like they all have freckles for some reason, just like a full body coating of freckles, but whatever. I'm not paying attention. I'm enjoying it.
For sure. It ain't a bug, it's
Side
by
quests are
design.
very repetitive, but I don't care. The monsters are fun. The gameplay is fun. I'm spinning the wheel and I'm hoping that I get a new memory flashback every time.
So where do you think this should go on this list that we're making?
I mean, that depends on whether or not we're asking for my personal subjective ranking or what I think other people would think.
No, this is
Because
1,000%
I
subjective.
reviewed this game and I rated it like 80 out of 100. And the entire reason I did that was because I was playing through it and I was like, oh, there will be people who will not like this game. Guess what? I'm not one of those people. This is my #1 game of the year.
I love it. I
All
love the
right.
conviction in that choice, though. So often you'll hear somebody, especially this year, it's like, yeah, I like God of War, but Elden Ring was kind of good. I love the conviction.
It's the
Yes.
conviction of someone who not only hasn't played those games, but also will not play those games.
Yeah. Uh,
It's about your personal favorite, your the #1 nearest and dearest to your heart. And to be honest, I have been thinking about picking up this new version of the game because I have very fond memories of the PSP release and no actual memories of the PSP release, so I'm gonna have to do it again.
100%
I mean,
recommend it. It's cheesy and nostalgic, and they changed a lot of things for the better with the gameplay. And I'm just having an absolutely amazing time. The one thing I will say is, I said this in my review too, but if you do not like Zack Fair as a character, you will not like this game, because the whole game is just balanced on his shoulders.
mm,
Fortunately, I love Zack Fair. He's one of my favorite characters in the entire franchise. So,
yeah, it's perfect.
He's just
Honestly,
like B grade Cloud, right?
I
come
yeah.
over here so I can fight you. Cloud is B-grade Zack, and don't you forget it. Seriously though, Cloud would actually not let you forget it. I watched Advent Children. Cloud knows what he is. You cannot
I
put down Zack to make Cloud look better because Cloud is already putting himself down to make Zack look better.
yeah, I love it. I want to play this game now. I always love hearing somebody that's passionate about something explain something to me, and this makes me want to play the game.
I know the feeling. There's something about hearing people talk about stuff they really deeply care about.
Yeah, right? It's yeah. I don't know, maybe you just don't get enough of that in this day and age. It's all kind of
Maybe you don't.
just
Oh, is that a cat in the background?
Oh yeah, that's my cat Moiraine.
ooh.
I put a rocket ship shaped bed on the desk, and so she's deciding whether or not to crawl into it. And
Wait.
yeah, they consistently come in and say hello for just a moment. You can't like pick them up or like be that kind of affectionate with them without them like rending your flesh to escape because they're very particular about where they spend their time. But they're cool cats otherwise.
Tell them hello for me.
Oh, but of course. So you said you had a second option, yeah?
Yeah, my second option, I feel like everyone will disagree with me if I say it. I actually really liked Soul Hackers 2.
Okay, so I I'm doing the write up for the most disappointing games of 2022, and Soul Hackers 2 is on the list.
Yeah, I have
And
no idea why.
I also don't know why, because I looked up our review of Soul Hackers 2 and it was favorable.
Yeah,
So
I wrote that.
so give me a little breakdown in Soul Hackers 2. What's the dealio?
I mean, If I knew, I would tell you. As far as I can tell, well, I mean, admittedly, I haven't looked too deep into the controversy. As far as I can tell, it might just be that Soul Hackers 2 does not feel very much like the rest of its parent franchises.
Okay.
Like,
Okay.
it's cyberpunk, but it's cyberpunk in a very modern sense. And it's noir, but like in a very specific stylized sci-fi sense. So as a result, it's like half very specific action manga, thank you. Half very specific action manga and half like VTuber with the Apple aesthetic. And I feel like maybe that just didn't work for a lot of people. It also focuses really heavily on adult characters who don't have quite as much of that delightful inner turmoil that we generally see in a lot of Persona games. But it's also not as concept driven as a lot of Shin Megami Tensei games. So maybe people just weren't expecting what they got. But here's the thing, the guy that they had designing like half the cast, hang on, let me double check what his name is. Shiro Miwa.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had him design half the cast, and I recognized him immediately because he writes a very specific action manga,
Oh.
and I have been reading it since it started being translated into English. So I looked at the original promos and I was like, oh my god, this is gonna be just like Dogs, Bullets, and Carnage! And also, like, the Shin Megami Tensei demons are gonna be there. So I played it with that mindset, and it was indeed just like Dogs, Bullets, and Carnage, and also the Shin Megami Tensei demons are there.
So basically, anybody who did not have that specific framing in mind probably felt like they got sort of a raw deal with Soul Hackers 2.
Basically, but I had that very specific mindset, so I didn't feel like I got misled at all by the opening.
Okay.
And like, I didn't feel like I got misled by the characters, I didn't feel like I got misled by the plot. Like, the gameplay mechanics are for the most part pretty solid. I'll admit that I'm sad that they took out a lot of the focus on the demons, but I'm happy they added in that ability where you're wandering around and you can just find your demons in the dungeon and have a little chat with them. Like, that was nice. It helped make it seem like the demons are, there. Um a lot of the devil summoning culture stuff was nice. I like the graphics. I thought that the character designs for Ringo and Fig were, obviously made by someone who designed VTubers, but they're literally avatars for a computer, so, whatever, I'm having fun.
Okay.
I don't know, I liked
Well,
it.
well, all right. I think I'm gonna have to do a little digging to find out exactly what people's deal was. But your comments on it have been very enlightening so far. So I think I've got a good base of knowledge to work with. Um, and in fact, rather than being on a disappointing list, it seems that it was pretty high up on your personal list of games that you were, super into this year.
I mean, like, my review, when I posted it, had one big asterisk on it, and that
Mm.
asterisk was, I had a great time with this game. I hope the rest of the franchise does not follow in its footsteps. Because it is a great, like, little standalone that's disconnected from the rest of the series. I would hate it if Persona, or if the Shin Megami Tensei series, or if any of the other spin off branches started to imitate it. It's like, okay, this one was good. Let's never do this again.
Okay. Okay. That's very informative, actually. That's very
It's like,
helpful.
some games you just can't wait until you get the sequel, or you're like, oh my god, this changes everything. Like, Final Fantasy VII changed the whole course of gaming history, basically, because everyone wanted to be that, but it especially changed the course for the Final Fantasy series, because suddenly every other game was trying to be Final Fantasy VII. and we got the compilation of Final Fantasy VII. And some parts of the compilation were fantastic, and other parts were Dirge of Cerberus. But like, this is like the opposite of that, where it came out, it's good, I like it, I hope everyone learned something from making it. Please never do this again.
Okay. Okay.
All right, so let's summarize this little segment. I've got you liked Crisis Core. It's really good. It's an action game, but the mini games blew chunks. And Soul Hackers 2,
Some were good.
Soul Hackers 2 really cool, but needed more demons and they should not make more.
Well, if they're gonna make a Soul Hackers 3, it should also be a weird little standalone, I think.
Yeah.
And then it could be like an anthology series.
I've also listed out fluffiest character as Klonoa.
Okay. Yeah, that
Very
seems fair.
good. Accurate.
Accurate.
Cool. Rhett, did you have a plan on how to like tidy up these these segments or end these segments?
Yeah, I do have a plan.
Okay,
Okay, great.
let's hear it.
Nicola, I want to thank you so much for coming out. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate you making the time and coming on the show, especially given that there were several people that were reached out to, including the entire team, and you you were one of you were one of the only ones that made the commitment to come on. So like truly, I cannot thank you enough for doing this, and obviously we hope to have you back next year, but I would love to have you back on the show much before then. I would love to get you back on here whenever you like.
Yeah, anytime.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
We'll see
no.
what happens. And hopefully next year I will have slightly better video game opinions.
No,
Don't
I
ever
love
change. Don't let the man
Yeah.
change
it. No,
you.
exactly.
no.
Don't ever change.
keep-
Yeah.
Keep on keeping on. Is what I say.
Yes.
Keep on
100%.
ignoring the entire Soulsborne franchise.
Yes.
Oh man,
Yes.
If
listen,
it's in your
listen.
heart.
Soulsborne, that shit wasn't even cool until Elden Ring, and even then, I'm not sure. So you got nothing to worry about.
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you again. I appreciate it so much. Thank you. Merry Christmas as well. Happy holidays.
Thank you for having me. Happy holidays.
Thank you.
Cheers, Nicola.
Cheers.
That was nice.
Yes.
That was everything I was hoping it would be.
Oh, I loved that.
Right?
I don't have any of those opinions, and those would have been entirely lost had we not had Nicola on the show.
Exactly. Now, so we are ready. I mean, if Everett is ready, we can pull him right in, I think.
I think it's working. I joined him to the server. He's just got to hit the button. He's got to do the thing. That's my opinion.
I mean, let's be real here. He's probably playing a little bit of Call of Duty. Probably
Dudes.
Call
Call of Duty is amazing.
little Call of Duty. He's probably forgetting about his obligations to the Press X to podcast game of the year. Hey, it's only the biggest podcast of the year, but easy. Call of Duty tends to take precedence. Now, listen. I think while we wait for our boss, for all
Who we're
intents
just
and
consistently dunking on.
Yeah. While we
on.
wait for our boss to show up, why don't we at least talk about just our 10th, our number 10 game on our personal lists? Let's dip our toes in the water, so to speak.
Okay.
Okay, that's tough because I have a lot of games and I don't know which one should be number 10.
Yeah.
It's ooh. You know what? I think my number 10 should be Sonic Frontiers.
Oh.
My
Ooh.
number 10. I'm not
No, I
speaking
love-
to
Oh
Fun
no, and that's the thing. We need to keep that in mind. Is that these lists, they're completely personal, of course.
Okay, let me. Sonic Frontiers, you said?
That's the
I
one.
like it, man. Like that was one that I wish I played because I heard nothing but good things about it. I mean, sure.
Well, it's interesting because it's in terms of Sonic games, I think it's absolutely miles ahead of so much of what they've done in the last decade. They made big strides in certain strange areas, and they really blew the field open in terms of like what a Sonic game can be. As far as like actual games go, just like on the larger list, it's fine. It's all right. It's an open world collectathon. It's cool enough, but like it set the table for Sonic games, and that to me is definitely worth mentioning, if nothing else. And I found it very interesting how there was so many dissenting or different opinions about it. Like there's a very strong pro Sonic Frontiers camp, and there is an equally strong anti Sonic Frontiers camp. And I think it's really fun how that same game can produce such like totally dissonant ideas within the space. I thought it was fun as fuck. I played the heck out of it, and then it ran its course, and I was done. I was like, cool. Well, credits rolled. I'm ready to put it down. That was awesome. Um, you know, like Nicola, I had a couple of things that I did not super love. They like to kick off the ends of chapters by throwing you into the worst mini game you've ever fucking played, which
Oof.
great, very strong Sonic tradition throughout the years and the decades. But like having to get 4.5 million points in a pinball game should not be
Brutal.
a necessary step
Wait,
to move the story forward.
wait. Now, was this 4.5 million actual pinball points, or was it Sonic Frontiers pinball points?
Red, I don't know enough about pinball to tell you what it was.
Well,
I
okay.
just-
So here, let me say. So 4.5 million pinball points. That has the potential to be completely excruciating. With
Yeah,
Sonic, what I mean by Sonic Frontiers pinball points is, was it something that you could complete in 2 minutes?
Oh wow, no, it was like 30.
Okay,
It
that's
was
pretty
like
bad.
30 minutes.
Yeah,
That's
that's
painful.
then I would say that's realistic pinball points.
Yeah.
That's pretty bad.
It really sucked. It was not the worst one though. The worst one
Oh,
was a light puzzle. Basically, you had you walked into this big field, and you had to like turn. You had these statues that shot light, and you had to like shoot the light in a continuous beam in a particular pattern. But like when you moved one statue, another statue also moved. I realize I'm not accurately conveying what this puzzle was like, but let me try again in a different way. Fuck that puzzle. And in the kindest way possible, fuck the people who thought it was a good idea to make it necessary to complete to advance the story. That's horseshit. I disagree with you, sir. I raise my fucking leather glove and challenge, and I whap you across the face. Shit was just rude. I had to like call in my wife from the other room, be like, hey, I need a second set of eyes on this. I've been doing this for like an hour and a half. I have no idea where to go from here. I'm just completely stymied. And the two of us, it turned into like a couple's bonding event because we're just like, I'm like writing shit down and taking notes, and she's just like frantically pressing things, and we're like trying every possible permutation. We're like just about to give up. We're just like, well, what if we did this? And just moved one just the right way, and suddenly, pow!
oh.
Look who
Wow,
shows up.
is that the sound of Superman whipping in to save the day?
Well, well, well. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we can hear you, but it sounds like you're in a hurricane.
Wind tunnel.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. Hold on a second.
No,
Let's
it-
change this around a little bit.
it sounds a little bit better.
How about now?
Yeah,
Yeah, we're
it sounds
good.
a
You know,
little bit
we're
better,
getting
yeah.
less wind tunnel, which really, that's all we need. You know,
Hey, maybe now. I had a fan on. Maybe that was the problem.
Yeah, that sounds fine.
Yeah, we're
Yeah,
good
he's
now.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boss. Big boss.
The man himself.
Naked
I-
snake.
That's what it says on the business card, but I don't know. Nobody
Yeah.
listens to me.
I do. I do. I promise I do.
yeah,
We
So,
all
what are we talking
listen.
about today? What's the grand topic of the day?
Man, the grand topic of the day right now is whatever you want to talk to. Whatever you want to
we
talk
want
about.
we want to
brother.
know. We want to know what your best games. What earns your top spot for game of the year?
Yeah, you know
2022?
what? It's been a funny year because I haven't played all the cool games, right? Like that Elden Ring that everybody was talking about. I never played it. That game scared the shit out of me.
It's shit.
Right.
It's not
You
good.
just been on that. You just been on that Call of Duty.
Yeah, well, exactly. Well, I actually had that list as number 2. Okay, so there,
I love it.
I am fond of the Modern Warfare. That is correct. Yes. Actually, honestly, it's funny. My number 1, and you guys probably know, I game with my kids a lot. You know, and so it's Switch Sports. I spent hours and hours, with my kids because it was getting us off the couch and we were bowling, we were playing badminton, and it was like one of those games where there was really no, what would you say? Like, my kids could kick my ass. Let's just put it that way, right? Like it wasn't.
Okay,
there was,
sure.
There was no skill.
You didn't. Yeah, you didn't have to throw the games.
Yeah,
Just for them
exactly.
to have fun. They could
Yeah,
actually
they
play and
would.
have fun.
Adequately kick my ass as needed.
Right.
And we had fun in the process. So yeah, no, that was probably my favorite game of the year, just because it created the most, just those memories. And it actually, it's funny because after we started playing that, the kids would be like, hey, can we actually go bowling? And then we actually bought a badminton net. Just like it inspired us to do other things. So it kind of took us beyond, the gaming. So it was kind of cool. It was good. So
Yeah.
So I have to say, in terms of like time played and the memories, I'd say Switch Sports is number 1 for me.
Wow.
Shit, man, that's awesome.
Cool. And I love that. I love that. And no,
Bringing
no
people
joke.
together.
Man, I love that. That's what it's all about. Like,
Yeah.
I wish I had people to play a game like that with, where we could actually not only have fun with it, but then look forward to having fun with it again.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
like,
Yeah. And then, like I was saying earlier, when the kids go to bed, then Modern Warfare 2 comes out, and that's when Daddy has his, his quiet time where he's just, shooting people up. So,
yeah,
there's
where
the
you're
balance right
where you're playing that no Russia.
there. Yeah.
No doubt. No doubt.
Yeah, so that's what I would say. Game of the year for me at least, and yeah, I just started another one, High on Life. I'm sure you guys have started playing that. I don't know if that would be a game of the year contender at all for me, but you know what? It's made me laugh more than a half dozen times, and I got to give it credit for that. So
Yes, genuine laughter, not just, you want to laugh, so you try to because, you're like stubborn in your opinion and you don't care what people say. You think the game's funny, so you're gonna try to laugh at as many jokes as you can.
You believe Rick and Morty is still funny, and no one can tell you otherwise.
Man, much like anything, it may have jumped the shark, but you're right that there was the time where it was funny.
Yes.
And I think that Justin Roiland does capture at times a lot of that humor in High on Life. I really enjoyed it.
This is important. Tim Robinson plays one of the guns, and it fucking rules.
Oh, really?
Tim Robinson.
Yeah.
And yeah, Tim Robinson's cool, but how about JB Smoove as Gus, the shotgun toting frog? Man,
great.
he's
wow,
fantastic.
I have that to look forward to. I love JB Smooth. He's funny.
He's so funny.
Yeah.
Nice.
Tim Robinson plays my favorite gun so far, I gotta say.
Which one is Tim Robinson?
He plays Creature.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Creature's good.
Creature's great.
Yeah, yeah, no. High on Life is cool. Now, I mean, don't get me wrong. High on Life, the mechanics might not always be there, but if you like Rick and Morty, there's nothing to not love about this game.
Yeah, I still haven't. I didn't feel the gunplay was as smooth and as responsive as I would hope, but it's not bad, right? It's pretty good. So I'm
You're-
okay with it. I'm okay.
You're a big Call of Duty player though, and I would say that Call of Duty's probably got the tightest gunplay in first person shooters now, and so it's
That's the bar. That's
right
the bar.
like in High on Life, of course, it doesn't even come close. So it's
No.
it's tough to argue that it feels great. I think that it's completely serviceable, but yeah, when you put it up against a Call of Duty or an Apex Legends, I don't think it's gonna.
But like,
That's okay. I can climb down my Call of Duty ivory tower and play with the little games every now and then. So that's okay. I can do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Of course.
well, and the numbers don't lie either. You know, High on Life has shot to the top of Game Pass lists, like it's ahead of Minecraft. That's
Yeah.
unheard of.
Yeah.
You know, partially
I didn't
people
realize
are
it's
starved for
not
that
on
kind of game, but
PlayStation, is it? It was never released on PlayStation. It's only on Xbox and PC. Is it coming to PlayStation like in a year? Is it one of those exclusivity? I don't know.
I assume so.
I would be surprised if it wasn't, especially given Trover's universe.
Right.
Excuse me,
True.
being on PSVR. With that said, yeah, it was pretty stunning. A friend of mine is a big Rick and Morty fan, and he was shocked when High on Life dropped. He was shocked to go to the store and find that it wasn't there.
Right.
So, I mean, I don't understand the business decision. Excuse me, the business decision behind keeping it off the PlayStation Network.
I
But
if I might offer a theory, I assume that they probably because it was delayed once, right? Because it was supposed to, I think, come out in September, and then it got pushed back to a December release date. So I'm assuming that they were having just the tiniest bit of trouble getting this little fucker out the door in its optimal state, at all, rather than just like for the maximum amount of platforms. I think it's probably a combination of the scale of the project. Sorry, Jesus, being somewhat limited, and also probably they're signing some sort of like indeterminate exclusivity deal with Microsoft, because if it goes directly to Game Pass on release day, generally that indicates that a lot of their like initial sales expectations are being padded or supplemented by Big Billy and his fucking gang. So yeah, probably if there is a PlayStation release incoming, I'm assuming they're gonna bury that press release for a little while, let alone like when it's actually dropping.
Yeah, the Microsoft money dump truck backed up to old Squanch Games and beep beep beep,
Yeah.
drop the cash. But that happens in all directions. So
So I saw a tweet, I don't know, today, yesterday, somebody was saying which game development studio would be good for games that haven't had a game in a while, and somebody had mentioned Squanch Games, developer of High on Life, for a new Conquer game, as in Conquer Bad Fur Day. What are our thoughts? Is that a match made in heaven or what?
can Justin
humor-
Roiland do a Conquer voice?
I don't. Well,
That might be funny.
Exactly. I think with that, if there's any sort of inkling of Rick and Morty in that game, not good.
right. Okay.
Not good. Right? Just what Paul said, he needs to make sure that he can do a Conquer voice before he gets it. Like if I'm playing that game and it's fucking Morty as a sidekick again, I don't want it.
No.
As I was playing High on Life, I was absolutely getting the feeling that this universe, it's almost becoming too bloated, you know, because sure, Trovers and High on Life and Rick and Morty, they might not they might not technically exist in the same universe,
Yeah, they
but
might as well.
they might as well. Exactly, they might as well. And so if he's going to do another Conquers game that might as well exist in that universe, I don't want it.
Yeah, maybe you just give it to the development studio and he doesn't do any of the voices. That doesn't seem like a super tall order.
Well, no, but it seems like Justin Roiland needs to get into every single thing that his name is attached to. It seems like he needs to be the main actor in everything that he gets attached to.
Yeah.
Maybe he's just doing a little bit too much method acting and drinking too much while he's recording lines, and he's starting to
Partaking
think,
in a little too much squanch.
yes, exactly.
You don't squanch your own squanch. You know, they always say that.
Yeah.
They've definitely said it at least once.
All right,
One
Alex,
time, for sure.
what's new in Modern Warfare 2? What makes it special, unique, but outside of the great gunplay which Call of Duty has been known for
Yeah, that's a great
decades?
question, and really there isn't a heck of a lot. It's it seems to have a fresh coat of paint. It definitely looks a lot better than say Vanguard last year. The levels seem to have an added level of complexity to them, a little bit more verticality, a little bit more. You can go into some more buildings, so there's a little bit more complexity there. These are just incremental improvements. We're not seeing a brand new Call of Duty, but I think that if you were a fan of maybe the Call of Duty, the first 4 and maybe Black Ops, and you're coming back, I think you might be more inclined to come back. If they lost you with games like Vanguard. But with that said, I think that with Call of Duty taking a 2-year break before their next major release, I think that's going to be a huge benefit to the franchise. They give a full extra couple years of development. There's no release next year apparently, so yeah, not a lot new. I mean, it feels fresh, not. I don't know. Does that make sense? It feels a little fresh, but it's not new. I don't know.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense, and it's a perfectly normal state of affairs for a perennial release franchise like Call of Duty. Like it's normal for there to be years where it's like, well, no, we didn't reinvent the wheel, but it's a pretty nice wheel.
Yeah, and they brought back just enough stuff that people have extreme nostalgia for, given that the original Modern Warfare 2 is broadly regarded as the best Call of Duty up till this point. Bringing back things like Shipment. People love that map.
Oh, and that's a good point because, I mean, we're in the first season of this Modern Warfare 2. The only new maps we're getting are Shoot House and Shipment, which are old Call of Duty maps. We're not getting any new maps. Now, granted, there are a couple other game modes that have some new maps, but yeah, in terms of just the straight multiplayer, we're not even getting a new map this season. Whether that's a development issue or whether that's them just acknowledging, hey, our fans want the old shit, let's give them the old shit, right? So
I know I want the old shit.
I do too. I do. I'm too old for the new shit.
Wow.
Cool. Anything else that stood out for you this year, Alex?
Not particularly, but I am looking forward to next year. I think next year's got some really amazing releases on the horizon. I'm praying the new Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom comes out. Because that'll probably be my game of the year. Breath of the Wild it's still in this household pretty popular. We still play it every now and then. It's fun. And then the other one I'm looking forward to is I'm hoping Alan Wake 2 actually releases as well, because that's another one. I was a huge Alan Wake fan. I love that game, and it's desperately needed a sequel. So fingers crossed those two come out.
Did you play Control, Alex?
I played the first maybe couple hours of it. I didn't get into it, and I didn't give it the love it deserved. So it's one of those ones. As soon as I can get that newer Ultimate Edition version of it, the next gen version, if I can get that on sale, I'm gonna have to give it another go, because what I've seen, it's pretty good. And my understanding was that even some Alan Wake.
Yeah, that's why I brought it up. There is some Alan Wake connection deeper in some of the DLC. So if you're an Alan Wake fan, there's some very cool moments.
Okay,
Control?
That's good to know.
In Control, yeah.
Oh yeah, baby.
Yeah, we're just talking about Alan Wake 2.
You can't miss it.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Sounds good. I'm putting it back on the backlog, and we'll get it. We'll bump it up a little bit. We'll get that played soon.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I remember. Yeah, sorry, I stepped away for a minute, Alex.
all
I
good.
remember that you were sort of unconvinced of the game, much in the same way I was. For the first hour, 2, maybe 3, I was just like, "What the fuck is the hype about?"
Yeah.
It's not that great, but slowly but surely, it became amazing.
So if I had just given it a couple more hours of my time, I would have transitioned from meh to wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
Some games are pretty reliable about that. Some games, if they don't catch you in the first couple hours, there's nothing for it. So you can be forgiven for like making that judgment call.
Yeah.
Man,
But
that-
I think Control really does unfurl slowly, steadily, and
Yeah, it starts pretty slow.
pretty well.
But you're completely right. And who has time necessarily to not only spend a couple hours, 3-4 hours trying to figure out if a game is for them, but then to go beyond that and play hour after hour waiting for the game to get better? It's like anybody our age at this point, who has time for that?
Preposterous.
Early on in the games, maybe after the tutorial, there should be a little disclaimer letting us know if this shit gets better or not. I don't know how long it's.
Yeah, it's just so you know, this game sucks for the
Yeah,
next
just
3
drop
hours.
down, or hey, this shit gets better. Keep with us.
But we
I love-
promise it's worth it. It's
I love it,
super,
yeah.
super worth it. Just
Super
just play this shitty part and it'll get better.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, you know what? I have to go watch. Speaking of shitty, I got to go watch a Hallmark Christmas movie with the woman I love. So,
Okay.
Well, so it's
Buddy.
not all bad. It's not all bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I am gonna bid farewell, and hopefully you guys can drag me back onto this for another one in the future.
I would hope
Yeah.
so.
Anytime.
Yeah. Thank you.
Alright,
I'll say the same thing that I said to Nicola. Thank you so much for doing this. There were not many that showed up when it
Oh,
came
wow.
to it. So I thank you so much, and I can't wait to have you back on.
All right. Well, I appreciate you guys. Yeah. So we'll talk soon. Take care, guys.
Cheers,
You too.
Alex.
Yeah, baby.
He did not disappoint. Yeah.
No, not at all. See,
Oh, man.
Never.
man, I thought it was just gonna be 15 or 20 minutes worth of solid Call of Duty conversation.
No, he's got.
But
he's
it
got,
wasn't, man.
He's got good shit going on. It's
Yeah.
cool. I appreciate all of it.
Hey, Everett's the man, and like I said, I can't wait to have him back. I apologize for these hiccups.
Those are some monsters, my man.
I can't stop them. I can't stop.
Kind
It
of a-
hurts.
It's kind of amazing. You sound hammered, but it's just in reality you're just greatly inconvenienced.
Do you know that episode of The Simpsons where the guy has had hiccups for 37 years and they interview him and he's just like, kill me, kill me, kill me. That's me.
Yeah, only it's been I think like
It's
11
over
minutes.
37 minutes.
Yeah,
No.
just an eternity.
Ugh.
All right.
Yeah, you guys
So-
take it away.
Yeah.
So okay, so we gotta we gotta figure our shit out. We gotta figure out how we're gonna make our master list.
Well, I feel like there's got to be a few games we can very much agree are on the list.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
So, yes. So, God of War, Ragnarok, Elden Ring, these are on the list. It is known. It is understood.
Yeah.
I want to make a case for the inclusion of Vampire Survivors.
Oh, shit. You're talking to the right guy, man. Because would you like to know where Vampire Survivors lives on my list?
Yeah, I would.
Number 2, baby. Number 2.
Wow. Okay, I feel like it's definitely the game I played third or fourth most this year, which is wild. But like I downloaded it on a whim after reading a Kotaku article and was just like, "Oh, okay, so I'm doing this instead of work. Is that what's happening? Great."
Like, oh, uh-oh.
Yeah. Love the uh-oh feeling.
Yeah, it's just such a beautiful thing because it's so simple. You know, there's literally one thing that you do in the entire game, and other than that, it's some strategic choices, and you just drive your little character around. But there's so much going on mechanically all the time, and it is so visually insane.
The same could be said about Gran Turismo 7. The same could be said about GT7.
Who says we're not talking about Gran Turismo 7?
Yeah, but you're talking about goddamn Vampire Survivors.
Yeah, that's true.
Like it's the silver medalist. Motherfucker is not. And I love that game.
I would put it comfortably at like
7, 8, 7 or 8.
I was gonna say fourth.
You bite you bite that tongue. And
Nah,
again,
man.
I loved Vampire Survivors.
Let's say
I
we stamp
love-
it right in the middle for now, and just see what happens.
But it's for sure on the list. We haven't
wait.
locked down where,
Oh.
but it's for sure on the list.
Okay.
See, I guess that's the best endorsement we could give it, is that even before the list begins, the number one game that is guaranteed to be on the list, Vampire Survivors. So y'all go check that out right now. It's like what, 99 cents?
$3 full price, I think.
Oh my god, like
It's even on iOS now, so it can
Value-
Yeah.
control your life on the go.
Is there cross save?
No, I don't think so. Because
Okay.
I've played it on Steam, and then I started over on Game Pass,
Yeah, me too.
and that was fine. That was fine. I just did it again. It was fine. In fact, I made it further on the Game Pass version than I did on the Steam version.
Yeah, it's again very simple. There's not a lot going on in that game, but it's very well balanced, and it's fun as shit. Even when you lose within the first minute and a half because you're trying some wild build that just will not work.
For me, it took like 15 tries to get far enough in the dairy factory where I could unlock the fucking coffin.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just like I kept getting like specters of death showing up 7 minutes in, be like, time to end your run. I'm like, no, but there was time. Why, you bastards?
Yep.
Also, I will say the thing that like there was a couple of unlocks that like completely changed the trajectory of the game, and one of them was definitely the all the names are in Italian, so I don't know. There's the dude that unlocks the second whip, and that guy
Oh,
that
yeah.
guy changes the fucking game.
Dude, the
But
whip
there's-
sucks.
Whip is okay. Maxed out evolved whip is better. But if you get second whip plus first whip, they combine to make the BFG whip, which is the whip against which all the whips are measured and found wanting. But the thing that actually changed the trajectory of the game for me was the Rockstar lady. Because she has this fucking she has that power where your area of effect increases by 1% every time you gain a level.
Yeah.
So suddenly every move you make takes up a quarter of the screen. It was so good.
There's nothing quite like that feeling where it's like nothing can touch me. I can do
Yeah.
whatever I want and nothing can harm me. And it
Yeah.
somehow it keeps generating that feeling time after time after time as you unlock new characters and you unlock new weapons and things, and you're like, aha, this works too. This is also as insanely overpowered if you max it out. It's brilliant. I love it.
When Rhett comes back, I'm going to recommend he hold his breath for even longer than he did. Rhett,
What?
buddy, how long have you been holding your breath for? Have you been holding your breath? This is important. Okay. All right. He's in the process.
1 hour.
I was going to recommend to really, hold it in for a minute. Maybe even a minute, a whole minute, No, he's shaking his finger. No. Okay. He's going to go 5 minutes.
5 days.
I listen, I've seen you hit that vape. I don't think 5 minutes is in the cards.
And fellas, that is how you eliminate hiccups. So if there's anybody watching or listening, rather, that has a problem with hiccups in their lives, you need to check out the Press X to podcast. What year is it? 2022, 12/21. So you need to check out the 12/21 podcast of Press X to podcast, where I show you how to eliminate hiccups on a whim.
Are you telling people
I-
who are already listening to the podcast to listen to this podcast?
Yes.
I mean, I kind of love it.
Yeah. Be sure to tune in to this episode of Press X
Shit.
podcast that's running
No.
right now.
Okay, now that's comedy. That's comedy. Thank you, Paul. That was immaculate timing on.
Thank you.
Okay, so far we've got Elden Ring, God of War Ragnarok, Vampire Survivors, and from Rhett, Gran Turismo 7, which my
Dude.
understanding is like the technical racer against which many technical racers are measured. Maybe not all of them. I don't know. Rhett, where do you put Gran Turismo 7 in the pantheon of racers?
It's the best racing game I've ever played.
Okay,
As
solid
simple
number
as
one.
that. It is
Fantastic.
it is the greatest racing game I've ever played.
It has issues outside of the core racing, but in terms of the mechanical act of racing, there's nothing better.
but the issues you think it has have been corrected, because I know you haven't played it in a
I
long
have.
time.
I have.
Yeah, no, the issues are minimal at best.
They're much better. Like it was not good at launch.
It was not good. Now I would agree though, the big thing, and like, I'm not a massive car guy, so I think that the list of vehicles is plenty enough. But I do understand, looking back, especially at previous Gran Turismo games where there were 600 plus cars at launch, I do understand that, yeah, the roster there might not be sufficient. So I respect that. I respect that argument.
Rhett, I'm gonna come out right out and say it. I find it baffling and fascinating that you describe yourself as not a big car guy when you are conversely the biggest racing guy I think I've ever met in my life.
Yeah,
When I think of the racing gamer, it's you, buddy. So like
yeah.
I find that really interesting that you turn around and say, "Well, I'm not a big car guy." Even
No, but
though
I mean, no, but I'm not a big car guy. I couldn't tell you the difference between a 1996 or a 1969 Porsche Carrera GT and a 1971 Porsche Carrera GT. I wouldn't have the first bit of knowledge on what's the difference between those, you know?
I think
but
yeah.
but I love I kind of love the car culture of driving around late at night with your favorite music playing, hitting turns and things like that at the perfect speed. You're drifting around a mountain that kind of culminates in a sort of perfect video game moment. I
Mhm.
love those sorts of things.
Mhm.
But
I
being a car aficionado, I'm not there. I'm not there.
I think
But being a racing game aficionado that loves wheel support and loves trying to make them feel as simulation as possible. Yeah, that's me.
I think of people that are upset about the car list in GT7 are the kind of people who are like, I wish I could drive my Hyundai Santa Fe in this game.
Yeah.
Like, come on, no, you don't need to do that. It's fine.
Exactly. The list of vehicles at launch was 150 plus.
It was fine.
So you show me anybody playing this game that have driven every vehicle that was in the game, plus vehicles that weren't in the game, that they were like, oh my god, why wouldn't this be in there? Those people don't exist. They simply do not exist. And just because you have but just because you have Forza Horizon 5 that launches with 400 vehicles that you can drive as, with 25 of them being BMWs, 40 of them being different versions of Volkswagens, etc., etc. What the fuck is the point? And not only does a game like Forza have that type of repetition in their vehicles, but they will reward the player with their highest of high-end supercars after their first race. Literally their first race in the game, potentially. You could be rewarded with a fucking Maserati 2022 900 horsepower. It's so fast that you don't even understand how to take a turn with it.
That's
There's zero progression. Gran Turismo did progression so much better. And if you look online and people talking about racing games, the number one complaint always, and especially with Forza, is that there is zero progression. The progression is non-existent. GT7 worked as well as it could to offer actual, genuine, gradual progression in the vehicles that you could unlock. And finally, to wrap this up, not only that, but the game is arguably, I know, okay, God of War looks better. GT7 is arguably the best looking game of the year. It's fucking gorgeous. Gorgeous. It's incredible how good it looks and incredible how well it sounds. I voted for GT7 to have the best, well, did I? GT7 have the best audio? I think it should have won it. And I think that the only reason it didn't win it is because there aren't people that understand just how accurate the audio is in that game. It's incredible.
So where do you have GT7 on your list?
I got it at number 3.
Okay.
Number 3. Yeah.
I threw it at number 6 on my list. James, I assume it's not on your list.
Well, no, because I never played it, and I'm not a technical racing guy. But I recognize the achievement, and I say sure, let's put it in our top 10. I don't really have a horse in the race when it comes to where it goes. I'm basically going to let you two hash it out unless it displaces something I like more, in which case I will come back with all of my teeth. Speaking of which, I have another candidate for the top 10 list.
Please.
Tunic.
Okay.
It's
Say
another
more.
one I've heard nothing but good things about, but I haven't played it.
I haven't played it either.
Well, boy, that makes it tough if neither one of you fuck with it. Basically, do you remember when you were but a child and you would get a game and it would come with an instruction manual? And that instruction manual was a magical, incredible document unlocking amazing secrets about this crazy world you were about to embark on. And then at night or like afterwards, when your parents were like, no, that's enough fucking video games for the day, you tiny goblin. You would take that instruction book with you and be like, fuck, this is incredible. Maybe I can absorb some more secrets from this thing in between sessions. Tunic takes that feeling and turns it into an important game mechanic because you slowly piece together a like 16-bit, 8-bit style game instruction manual page by page while you're
Ooh.
exploring. And there's handwritten notes in pen marked into different pages, and you use these assembled pages to solve puzzles within the game. Other points of contention for describing this as one of the 10 best games I played in 2022 is that it's full of crazy cool puzzles, and I did not have to go online to look up fucking any solutions. I just toughed it out and sort of barreled my way through. And then I found out from my fucking brother-in-law that there was like a whole crazy set of puzzles I completely missed. It was just like some amazing shit that was happening that I didn't know about that was not strictly necessary to beat the game, but like something you could do involving starting a completely different save file.
Ooh, all right.
Shit's so crazy. You could start a second save file to solve this puzzle, and I was like, oh my god, this is like taking me right back to Metal Gear Solid 1 for the PlayStation, where you plug in the fucking controller to port number 2 to beat a boss fight. And it's just like, it's got cool details like that. It feels like there's been a lot of indie games coming out in the last year or two, the last year or 10, where it's like, we're capitalizing on nostalgia for The Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past. I'm here to tell you right now that Tunic is one of the only games I've played this year or in previous years that really, truly, accurately captures that sensation. The feeling of like, oh, you're exploring a big kind of scary world and you're just a cute little dude going about and doing it. And like other games have like tried to like bottle this sensation, but Tunic is the one I played that like fucking nailed it.
I'm feeling swayed by your argument here, James.
Yeah. And the music is excellent, and the gameplay itself is rock solid, and the story comes with some pretty serious twists. Twists that are like mechanically important, that like change the way you play the game, like force you to, and like really like throw you for a fucking loop where you were feeling weak and then you're feeling powerful and then fuck off, you're feeling weak again. I will say that to my great shame, I was forced to turn on some assistive shit right towards the
shame.
very end.
Shame.
Yeah, well, guess what? That boss rush nonsense was entirely too fucking difficult, and I just needed an out. I needed to be able to get past it, so I turned some shit on, and I stumbled my way through, and I don't feel bad about it.
In fact, I'm proud of it.
You know what? I'm proud of the fact that these guys put this shit in, because it's good to have that fucking option. Although maybe, you know, design it so that you don't get stuck in a place where you can't replenish your supplies and you don't have to resort to that. I don't know. Just some notes. It's a very small team. I think it might have been one dude with some help from his publisher. So, you know, maybe it just wasn't in the cards. But the fact that you have that option in the first place is fucking awesome.
It is. It is awesome.
Yeah.
I have a proposal. And that is that I feel like this is the kind of year where each of us is going to have a game that's on nobody else's list. what if we dedicate the bottom 3 out of the 10 to those games?
That's fair. That's fair.
Would Tunic be your 1?
Ooh, that's tough. Because I have a second one that probably also is going to end up in that slot.
What's that one, James?
Pokemon Legends Arceus.
Oh yeah, that's definitely not on my list.
It's the best Pokemon game I've played in fucking 10 years. I have to include it. I have to make a case for it at least.
Okay. Well, I mean, you're on a roll here. Let's hear it. Hit it, bud.
Well, it's the first one in such a long time where they implemented stuff that felt like it really changed the way the game was played. And because it was a single player experience that wasn't relying on balancing, like you have to balance things completely differently when you have a sort of online multiplayer component included. And because it didn't have that, because it was a single player experience, you could do wild shit like just throw a Pokeball and catch something just casually, just for no reason. And it just might work no matter what that Pokemon was. And if you had the right ball, the right circumstances, and you distracted it, you could just like, it's like a Safari Zone thing. You just whoop, and you just grab shit. And like the raw gameplay loop was so fucking compelling and so tight where you're just like, you're catching shit, you're fighting, you're sending things out, you're grabbing items, and all of it felt so unbelievably fluid. Where like all of these activities were rolled into like just like a basic set of tasks that you could do quickly and efficiently and easily. And there was like, because like Pokemon as a franchise, battles take time, grinding takes time, catching things takes time, grabbing items and exploring and all these sort of things takes time. But they created a system where it's just like, no, okay, no, we're not doing any of that. You run out, you roll out, you can fucking chuck balls with fucking crazy abandon and grab Pokemon. You can get into battles, you can explore, you can grab items, you can do all this shit, and it's all as smooth and seamless as I've ever fucking had a Pokemon experience ever. Like Scarlet and Violet, not on my list. They're a downgrade in terms of like user functionality and ease and smoothness from Legends Arceus. Like they're fine games. I played them. I enjoyed them. They're good Pokemon games. Not as fun and fluid and unique and unusual as Arceus. Like Arceus fucking broke the mold and made you feel like, oh, Pokemon can be a lot of things. It could be a different thing that still feels extremely Pokemon from what you're used to. And it was like, oh fuck yeah, this rules. Whereas Scarlet and Violet was just like, this is what you come to expect of the franchise. Fine, okay. But much like Sonic Frontiers, Pokemon Legends Arceus took what we understood a franchise to be and turned it on its head somewhat. So I have to fight for it a little bit. I have to present. But I mean, Tunic definitely is a better game. So, I don't know.
What a conundrum we have ourselves here.
Yeah.
So I'm going to put down near the bottom of the list, Pokemon Arceus / Tunic.
Oh, rude. Okay, but understandable.
And with the knowledge that this can all change. Because honestly, I have at least 2 things that I think could go on the bottom of the list.
On that note, did either one of you fuckers actually sit down and play Immortality?
I did.
Oh, did you really, bud?
It's so weird.
Yeah.
Like it is. I understand everything that you said about that game, like that you need to play it during the witching hour when you're feeling the weirdest you can possibly feel.
Yeah.
it's really something. The the way you navigate between the clips, like initially it's so confusing what exactly you're looking at or who the characters are or what's going on. And wow, that's kind of vulgar what's happening on the screen right now. I can't believe they put this in a game, but hey, here we are.
Somebody
And
getting piped down.
say that again.
Somebody getting piped down.
Yeah, yes.
Yes.
There's a little bit of deep core drilling happening. You are correct.
Classic.
But I'm not surprised to see Manon Gage nominated for performance at the Game Awards.
Fucking incredible. She's so good in this.
Yeah, the way she definitely navigates between all these different roles and all these different time periods and these different ideas, and the way you can't tell when you're watching a clip whether the cameras are supposed to be rolling or not, and whether you're getting a glimpse of the real character, the real person, or if this is just a face on the face, so to speak. Fucking amazing.
There were times I didn't know if I was actually watching the same person. She was so chameleon like.
Yeah. They often say that though, that an actor playing a character as another character is one of the most difficult things you can possibly do, because you have to be playing a character within a character, character inception. And I feel like she does a great job with that. All of the characters within the films feel, real enough to exist. And the core character also comes through at times. It's very strange. Like it's so non-linear and just kind of explorative. Like, here, experience this thing. You're like, okay, I will.
I want to push for it to be on the list just because. Fuck, man, what have we seen like this in previous years? Nothing.
I'm not sure if I'm convinced that this is even a video game.
Okay, fair. Rhett, state your case.
It's so abstract. It's so out there. Much like the director's previous work on the iPhone. What was it? What was Her Story.
Yeah.
Much like Her Story, I don't know if I would classify Her Story as a video game. I feel like these interactive, but like it's even like semi-interactive. These semi-interactive stories work better on Netflix. Like this reminds me kind of like one of these new Netflix kind of choose your own adventure things that you you have choices and you have some sort of interaction, so people might consider it a video game, but it's not. It's I liken it more to an R.L. Stine flip to page 88 and choose your own adventure kind of
First
thing,
of all,
you know?
Rhett, the quality of writing in Immortality versus the quality of writing in R.L. Stine.
No, that of course.
Of course.
Like Immortality could be a AAA blockbuster cinema film. Absolutely. The acting, the writing, the cinematography, the sets, the costumes, like it's all there. Don't get me wrong. It's amazing.
I think that there's enough interactivity in this game, because you get what they called walking simulators, right, where you're just sort of experiencing the story, and they created a rudimentary control and exploration scheme here to get through it. Like Gone Home is a great example of this, what people bring up all the time, where it's just like, yeah, you were just like wandering through this house and like piecing together parts of this person's life. It's at least as much of a game as Gone Home.
See, I don't know. I don't know because Gone Home, you're actually in a 3D video game like type environment where you're exploring, you're controlling, you're using the left stick to move around, you're using the right stick to control the camera, you're pressing A to interact with objects, like regardless of whether or not it's a walking simulator or it's Witcher 3, that I consider to be more of a video game than you watch one clip of uh cinematography, you watch one clip of a scene that's been shot, and then you move on to the next clip of a scene that's been shot, you know yeah, you may have a couple where in the world is Carmen San Diego moments where you scroll a cursor around and select a an object in a scene, but I don't know if I consider that a game.
Well, what are
Just
your thoughts? Where do you sit on Immortality? Game or no game?
with that, well, so I don't know if I consider it a game. Honestly, I'm gonna say no game. But with that being said, the performances are fucking incredible, and it's super intriguing. Like, go play this by all means. I just don't know if I consider it like if I'm talking about a game like God of War and then a game like Immortality, one of the two doesn't fit.
Yeah, I mean it's not the same kind of game for sure. I do think it lives within that walking simulator kind of Gone Home, the Rapture one. Everybody's Gone to the Rapture, whatever that one was called.
Yep. Love that.
What I will say about Immortality, and something that I found very hilarious while I was doing this, was there was a particular clip where a gentleman was receiving a treat, and I paused the video on his O-face and was able to select that image and go to another clip. And if that's not gameplay, I don't know what is.
Pause on the O phase.
I was like, I have to do this. There's no choice.
Okay, but there are several moments where you can catch somebody getting piped down, somebody hitting climax. Make no mistake, like I definitely zoomed in on that one scene where what's her name is enjoying her time with what's his name. But yeah, it's that is not that's not gaming.
I kind of feel like Immortality would be a great number 10. So my suggestion earlier that something that's not on anybody else's list end up on this list near the bottom, I don't think that needs to be 8, 9, 10. It could be 7, 8, 9.
Honestly, Immortality at 10, I like it because again, it's very rare when you sign on to your Xbox Game Pass and you download something that actually gives you Hollywood quality performances. Very, very rare. So I agree. It's got to be on the list at 10.
Okay.
Okay. Does anybody else have any far afield Cinderella stories they want to drop into the mix?
Well, I've got a few. And I spent the last 2 weeks playing almost all the things that I had wanted to play in the past of this year, but hadn't yet. Tunic accepted. That's the one I didn't get to. So 3 things to bring up. Chain Echoes, which is Chrono Trigger in 2022. Signalis, which is like a modern, old school Resident Evil survival horror with amazing atmosphere. And Citizen Sleeper, which is a strategy turn-based thing where you're this android in a decaying body and you need to survive on this space station by doing dice rolls and such things. Now,
Citizen Sleeper comes up a lot. It comes up a lot when people are like, "This amazing game that came out this year, it's on Game Pass," and
it is
all I know about it is that it comes up a lot.
It is really, really good. You know, in a world where video game writing is not often that good, it's very engaging. It's pretty text heavy, and it's very much a choose your own adventure. You're going through this world however you deem necessary or however you want to do it. And there's a lot of text that provides a glimpse into what this universe is without specifically telling you. And I love that kind of storytelling where it's situational and you're able to infer what's going on in the background or how society has got to this place. And Citizen Sleeper does a great job of that. It's, you know, relatively run based. Like you can play through it multiple times and have very, very different experiences. And you know, your fortunes within the world can turn on a dime based on a dice roll, which I kind of like. You know, it's too often in RPGs, you just choose the path and you go on it because you have chosen this option in dialogue. Well, that's not how life works, really. So having a game where your choices matter, but also just how lucky you are at that moment also matters. Is pretty remarkable. I haven't played as much of it as I want to, but I can tell it's something I can and will go back to a lot.
Awesome.
And go ahead.
Signalis. I was gonna say Signalis. Get what?
Okay, so I have a lot of the same thoughts and likes about Signalis, which is it's very well written and atmospheric and does a lot of its storytelling through showing you or implying things versus outright ramming them down your throat, which is kind of, interestingly, the Ragnarok approach from this year. It really rams stuff down your throat. But Signalis has a lot of those classic mechanics that you love and remember fondly from Resident Evil 1, Resident Evil 2. You know, gives you the option to have tank controls if you want. Your character moves really slowly. There's limited ammunition and things are creepy as shit. It does a great job of being atmospheric and making, you know, each door that you have to go through be like, I don't really want to go in there, but I know the key is back there somewhere, so I got to go in there. And yeah, it has this awesome CRT filter that you can put on. It's a very stylish and interesting piece of media that, you know, anybody who's into survival horror will love it. It's one of the best survival horror games I've played in a long, long time.
Sounds amazing.
What are we talking about?
Signalis.
Signalis. Come on,
Right.
buddy.
Yeah.
Stay with us.
100%. 100%.
Come on, buddy. Get some smelling salts up in your in your nose, or do whatever you got to do to tighten the bolts and twist the rings and
tighten the bolts. Oh, he's getting the vape juice out.
I do like not the vape juice. Grow up. I do like the tighten the bolts. That's funny. That's funny. This is just a knock of the wards. Hockey smelling salts.
Oh, it actually does.
No,
have
hey,
smelling salts.
listen, no sponsor, no sponsorship. Hey, Manscaped didn't work. Harry's razors didn't work.
correct.
So I'm looking for the hockey smelling salts.
Oh,
Wards.
please put that in your face on air.
Hold on. Get real. Check
Big
this
whiff.
out.
Big whiff. Come on, buddy. Big whiff.
It's deep. It's deep.
God, that burned my lungs.
How you doing, buddy? How you doing?
You know what it's like? It's like when you go to the bottom of the deep end in a pool and you take a deep inhale of chlorine.
Oh, okay.
That's exactly what it's like. Here, let me try again. Oh, and we are live.
Man.
Oh my god.
Okay.
Rich,
yeah.
you nasty bitch.
Yeah, I
we
was
need
gonna-
to know.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to ask Rhett for his Dark Horse pick because we've got yours, Paul. We've got your breakdown. We've got Signalis and we've got Citizen Sleeper.
Mm-hmm.
And
Dark-
third game.
Dark Horse pick for not game of the year. but
Something
just
that
one-
should be on the list, but it's only on your list.
Oh, that's easy. That's easy. Nobody is gonna have WWE 2K22 on their
God
list.
damn it.
But that should be on mine. That game is
It-
really, really good.
I have
Okay,
actually
but
heard
like-
that.
I'm gonna,
Yeah.
you know what? I'm gonna do my research right now.
It's
WW 2K22.
It's really good. They took the year off. I've explained this many times on the show, but they took the year off, them being 2K, because they released WWE 2K20. And it was a complete fucking shit show.
It was, yes.
The worst game arguably released in the past 10 years. So, the WWE themselves gave 2K an ultimatum. They said either the next game is good or we're done. We are done as business partners. 2K took a year off and they released 2K22, which is fantastic. The best wrestling game released in 10 years. Yeah. There's not much more you can say about that.
Does it
Go
have-
play.
Does it have Create a Wrestler?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. And they are. It's a hell of a thing. You can really make.
Yeah.
You can
Okay.
really make some real monstrosities.
Oh,
So,
awesome.
not only do they have Create a Wrestler, but they have the best create a wrestler, create a character in the business. And they've had that for at least 10 years. 15, I'd say. Their create a character dwarfs anything and everything you have ever come across in the last 15 years. I would bet any amount of money on that.
Have you tried the character creator in Black Desert Online?
No, and I don't give a fuck what it does because it's not better than the WWE create a character, and I promise you that.
Uh-huh.
I promise you that.
Well, I guess we'll never know.
We will. We will.
Listen, ends in incorrect on the SS, completely wrong. It's cool that you have such conviction and passion, and I appreciate that, and I recognize it, and I'm very happy that it's a part of our lives. But I feel like it's just too bold of a move saying that any individual game has the best character creator, because you would be shocked beyond belief what sort of wild shit you can do with the most unlikely Dark Horse candidates. In that field specifically. As far as like this game with a character creator, completely different discussion. Not even really worth bringing up. But like purely on character creation, WWE 2K22 is pretty good. But I have it on good authority that you can get a little wilder with it. You can get a little woolier. You can get a little more ridiculous, and that's fine.
Yeah,
It's
it
a very
sounds-
it's
yeah, no, it's great. It sounds like somebody that's never played WWE in the past 15 years. It sounds like somebody that has no idea just how good that character creator really is. Renowned. People that aren't even wrestling game enthusiasts will tell you, "Oh yeah, that wrestling create a character, that is next level." Go play the game. You need to go play the game and tell me otherwise. Don't give me your stats. Don't give me your rundowns. Don't give me your lists. Go play that game and then tell
Oh,
me otherwise.
where in the top 10 do you propose this fucker goes, friendo?
So what did I have my number 10 at? What was my number 10 game?
I don't know.
What?
I don't have your list.
Yeah. Well, I would say it goes number 9.
Just
Yeah.
above Immortality.
bold move.
Immortality, I put number 10. Yeah, okay. I'd go. WWE's definitely better than Immortality. That's a no-brainer.
Okay.
It's just a matter of how much better. And so, yeah. Well, we'll go at
I mean, I am looking at the character creator here, and somebody created Shrek.
Dude, Shrek, are you kidding me? You're scraping the bottom of the barrel, brother. There is so much more to choose from.
I'm seeing Skeletor. I'm seeing Spider-Man.
Yeah, those are all
I'm
base
seeing
men.
Danny DeVito.
People have been creating Danny DeVito and Skeletor and Spider-Man for years. Like, it's just
People have been creating Shrek for years. Rhett, come on, get
Shrek,
with it.
yeah,
Come on,
yeah,
come back to the fold. People have been putting Shrek in games for as long as there has been Shrek. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, and he's never looked better than in WWE whatever iteration it may be. So
2K22, you absolute muppet. Get the name of the game right that you were so heartily defending to put on the list.
no, what I'm saying is that the WWE character creator has been better than anything in the industry for nearly 2 decades. So what I'm saying is Shrek in whatever fucking iteration of SmackDown versus Raw or WWE that he may appear in is going to look better than any other character in any other game that people try to create him in. You understand? You look over the past 15 years. It's no brainer. Yeah,
I understand. I'm sorry, Rhett. I understand. I'm with it now.
I love it.
With that kind of speech, I feel like you're standing in the center of the ring at WrestleMania, just yelling to the crowd, and everybody's booing. They're like, "Boo!"
They wish. They wish.
All right, WWE number 9. Let's leave it there. See what happens. There's like 4 spots unaccounted for, and to my eye, there are 4 games that probably should be on this list. That being Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Shredder's Revenge.
Yes! Yes!
You know what? Fuck that game. I don't give
Listen,
a
Hammerhead Shark.
fuck
I
that
understand
game.
you've got a lot of strong opinions bubbling up in you. The more every time you take a sip of that delicious beverage.
You know
But-
what?
I will not stand for this fucking slander. Do you understand? Listen,
I fucking hated that game. And I hope the people that developed it never work again.
they're gonna.
Yeah.
Anyways, Paul.
I don't know what to believe anymore. We were talking about how much you liked that game mere hours ago, sir.
Yeah, well, you know what? Opinions change, dude. Opinions change.
Why? Rhett, okay, you know what? We're gonna bring you back into the fold. Rhett, tell me why you suddenly don't like Shredder's Revenge. Give me the breakdown. A real reason, not just. Come on, man. What do you got? Dig deep.
I don't know, man. Because it just sucks, you know?
Okay, so Shredder's Revenge is definitely going in the list because the one dissenter has no coherent reason why it shouldn't be there. He just feels like being bitter and shitty about how bad it is. Sounds like your legs have been cut out from under you by you. You fucking
Because it just sucks. You know?
No, you fucking muppet. No, I don't. Listen. It's the best Turtles game to come out in years.
I
It's-
couldn't
it's got
agree
all-
more. Couldn't agree
Yeah,
more.
I fucking thought so. It's got all the fucking best qualities of the old classic games and none of the bullshit that the old classic arcade games came with. It's all killer, no filler. Fucking original voice actors, like excellent music, complex, interesting combat, aggressive replayability.
April
Yeah.
O'Neil's a badass.
Exactly. So
And
what's
Ale-
going on?
And it did feature Alex Jones, who was my go-to once I unlocked him.
Casey Jones.
Casey
Casey
Jo-
Jones.
and then
Casey
fe-
Jones.
and it
Casey
featured-
Jones.
Can you
And it
imagine?
featured Casey Jones, my favorite, once I unlocked him.
Can you
That's
imagine
right.
if Alex Jones was an unlockable character in Shredder's Revenge?
You know, I
he
don't know about
he
you,
was
but
buff at one point. He
He
had
was.
muscles at one point. He could have been in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. He was like snorting brain pills and like running through the woods like a madman. It happened, all right. He had a
Well,
buff face.
I'm confident it still happens.
yeah. Mhm.
Anyway,
But-
3
anyways,
spots
okay.
left. I
Okay.
think there are 3 games.
3
Okay.
spots for what?
There's 3 spots left, and I think there are 3 games that should be on the list. That
Okay,
being
hit.
But it's 3, 2, 1.
3, 2, 1 is what's left.
We're already there. Oh,
Where
man.
you been, bro?
Yo, I'm sorry. Actually, I'm worried about that. I'm actually worried about that. I'm sorry.
You contributed
so-
to this list. Don't
Dude,
worry.
I literally
So-
thought that we were at like number 6.
So Rhett, what I'm going to need you to hang back for a second. We're going to get the last 3 names, and then
Sorry, yeah.
we're
you
going to
guys
arrange
got
them.
it.
We're going
Yes,
to
sir.
arrange them in their proper place. Don't push the mic away. What are you doing?
You guys,
Bring it back. Bring
you
it back.
guys,
Bring it
you
back.
guys, you guys go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, bring the mic back. Bring the mic back. Don't just dip into the background like a ghost. No, you're a part of this. All right. We just need to get their names, and then we can figure out where they go. Okay.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay. Paul,
It's-
hit us with the last 3.
God of War Ragnarok,
Yar,
Horizon Forbidden West,
Yar,
Elden Ring.
Yar.
Right?
Yes.
That is in fact the top 3 from the site's voting results as well.
Yes.
Now, what order do those 3 go in?
Elden Ring number 1. I don't give a shit what anybody else says or thinks. That's where I'm at. I'm addicted to that game. I was playing it tonight before we got into this podcast. I was like, I should play something else. No, I should play more Elden Ring.
See, I tried real hard in these past 2 weeks where I was playing all those games that I should have played more. I tried to play more Elden Ring. And I wanted to experience that world. I wanted to experience the magic that everyone else is talking about. There is just so much bullshit that I didn't want to deal with. It's so tedious. Every single encounter is so tedious, and the combat just is not that interesting moment to moment. There's great stuff with the bosses. The bosses are always very interesting and giant and awesome and devastating and difficult to get your head around. But there's always that
Just
threat
like
of
every
bullshit.
other Souls game.
Well, here's my counterpoint. The thing about Elden Ring, which is sort of the thing about Soulsborne games in general, is that there's this understanding, and there has been up until the release of this game, there's been this understanding that there's a correct way to play. And it's been so pervasive that people who don't really play the games, people who aren't really into the games in general, still had that understanding going in, where you thought, oh, well, obviously you have to, it's a melee combat based game. You have to do a lot of very complicated dodge rolls. You have to get your timing down. You have to master these specific elements. You have to make sure that your weight is a certain level so you're not fat rolling. These are things that even people who didn't really play the games, understood to be standard rules about the game going into Elden Ring. And I'm here to tell you right now, Paul and Rhett, that is all utterly out the fucking window. And the fact of the matter is that the mechanics of the game don't necessarily betray this at first. You can still play Elden Ring just like you can all those other games where it's like, oh, you go in, you do your dodge timings perfectly, you do your rolls, you do your parries, you learn the patterns of the bosses, and you fight them that way, and it's fine. But here's the thing. You don't have to fucking do that. You don't have to do any of that shit. I've been trying to play Elden Ring like you would play a regular Souls game, and it sucks, man. It's so hard, and I hate it, and I wish I wasn't doing it, because my preferred way to play the game doesn't involve like melee combat or like timing or any of that shit at all. All you got to do is like explore and enjoy and relax and do a little research, Batman style, to come up with your fucking proper techniques, because the game didn't open up for me until I started playing it in a way that completely contrasted or like counterindicated the usual strategies. I was a magic user. I was using spirit summons. I was using the standard NPC summons. I was like using items. I was using every trick of the trade, and they worked. That's the amazing thing, is that like there's all these cheap little shitty tricks you can use for basically every boss. There's all these goofy things you can do, and it felt like for the first time in the whole fucking franchise, it was a completely viable path forward. If you want to take the lowest level magic spell, Glintstone Pebble, dump all your points into intelligence, and just like run around the edges of the arena shooting magic at this guy, well, whatever ashes you summon momentarily distract it, you can absolutely do that. If you want to do an arcane build that focuses entirely on like crazy terrifying death spells, you can do that. If you want a bleed build that you slash a person 3 times and suddenly they're mortally wounded, and you can watch their health bar not slowly, rapidly fucking shrink and disintegrate, you can do that. If you want to hit them with Scarlet Rot, the thing that drove the coolest boss in the game completely insane, that's a power you have. Point is, this is a Souls game designed in such a way where your first instinct, even as somebody who is not a player, is to do things the way they've always been done. And in fact, certain parts of the design sort of encourage this. But a larger part of the game's mechanics, the underbelly, the machine off workings of this game, tell you no. You don't have to do any of that shit. You don't have to do any of that shit whatsoever. If you're like, man, there's got to be a better way to play this, guess what, motherfucker? There absolutely is. There's like 9 better ways to play this game. If you're like, I don't want to sit around and figure out the timing and stuff like that, you don't have to. You never have to. I don't know how to fight a single fucking boss. I never learned a single one. I just like found all the cheapest nasty shit I could, and all I would do was like run around gathering up equipment and fighting guys off, and just like unlocking points in the map. And anytime I found something, it was like, oh, this item looks like I have to play the game properly to use it. No, fuck that. I sell it for souls. I recycle it. It doesn't matter. Fuck out of here. I'm going to be the nastiest little goblin I possibly can be. And the game absolutely gives you that power. Also, the story is more approachable, and tangible and interesting. It's the first Souls game I've ever played where I had an understanding of the story, even though it was not presented in the same way as previous games in the series, but it was presented in a way that was more organic while still being at the fringes. So like I knew who these people were, I knew who these characters were, I knew what their place was in the larger world. I knew what was happening, I knew what my goal was. And I felt like this is something that was never made as clear in previous games. It seems like they've mastered the art of environmental storytelling in a way that they have not done before this point.
I'll definitely give it that. You run into the lore, you run into the story way more often than in any game in the past. And yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. That's why I'm bouncing off of this game repeatedly, is because I try to play it like Bloodborne. And
no, fuck that.
It arguably does not want to be played that way. Okay. You're thinking this is number 1, am I right, James?
Personally, it absolutely is. Because not only because it's like the Souls game that like tipped over for me. It was the one that was like, oh, this is the one. This is the one that sold me. And I've tried basically all of the other Souls games, and they just didn't hit the same way. I just couldn't connect. But this is the one they've made that's like a culmination of all their previous efforts. All the good shit from previous games has been gathered together and put into this one, so that like anybody who picks this up is like, oh well, I didn't really like this about the previous games. It's like, that's cool. You don't have to do that. You have to do any of that shit. It is like people talked about how, oh, you could do like a faith-based run in Dark Souls 3, but it was like, no, not really. Not like this. In this game, you could literally put all your points into faith, and you could just be the guy that lobs fireballs from a distance and just win every battle. It's fine. You can do that.
You know what? I feel like I'm going to go do that. I'm going to go do that on your recommendation, and with the trust in your judgment and your opinion as a video game guy. Currently, this game is not on my list, but I think I feel okay with it being at the top of the list.
I just feel like in terms of like organic exploration and environmental storytelling, and the like art direction is particularly impressive.
Yep.
People will like come back with screenshots. So, like, I just took this in Elden Ring, and it's the most beautiful most beautiful high fantasy artwork I've ever fucking seen. And it was like places like the fucking star-filled Nokrin underground city, or like the massive golden tree, or the Lindell, the royal capital, or like the romance era painting style of the fucking Limgrave. It's just,
Yeah.
it's all incredibly beautiful, and it's all very captivating. And that sense you get of the map, where it only expands as you find the edges, and you truly don't have an idea of just how big it is until you're done exploring it. And every time you unlock a new chunk, you're like, oh fuck, there's even more. That's wild. And it has that same thing that other Souls games have, where it's like, if you see a spot on the map, like if you're exploring in real life, or you're exploring during gameplay, and you're like, that seems pretty cool. If I'm going to be able to get to that, you can. Yeah, sometimes it's pretty hard, and sometimes it might require a little digging, a little research, but you can get to every spot. Also, however big you think the map is, I promise there's an underground section that is exactly as big. So, fuck, man.
Well, I'm actually pleased to hear a lot of the things that you're saying, because for the past couple of weeks, definitely felt like I was taking some of the crazy pills, going, what am I missing with this game? Because the entire world loves it. People who don't like Souls games really like it. How can that be that I am just missing the point that much? And it sounds like it's just from that play style, because there are lots of things to like about this game. You're totally right about the art direction. On a technical level, Elden Ring does not look good. Yet, people still take these unbelievable vistas and have these amazing screenshots that you see all over the place. Like, that takes some real skill and will to get to a point where your game looks really good despite not looking very good. You know? A lot of the characters really do look like Sears mannequins.
Sears mannequins, my favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The interesting thing about Elden Ring is that whatever play style you wish you could use to beat the game, you can. Like, if you want to
Yeah.
be like, there's one that I haven't really explored is archery. You can just be a guy who shoots arrows. You can just be an archery boy. That can be your whole style. You can absolutely beat the game that way.
If a guy wanted to be an archery boy in Elden Ring, how would they spec?
Dex, just like fatty Dex with like a weapon that scales with Dex. That's the thing. That's the fun thing, is that
Doesn't
all you
matter.
really have to do is find the gear that has bonuses that bonuses that scale with the stat you're pumping it into. So if you want to be like an archery boy or like a samurai sword guy, it's the same stats. Basically, you just need points in Dex, and then like vigor so you don't die in one hit, and then like mind so you can use crazy skills more often. But like mostly Dex. And then like sometimes weapons will be like, you need a little strength for this, but not a lot.
And
But like really, as long as you have the stats, you can do whatever the fuck you want. It doesn't matter. And the starting classes that you pick, they're not particularly important. It's just like that gives you an edge in the beginning, but like they don't really matter for the end game. You can do whatever you want when you make that decision. You can just like move in that direction. It's fine.
you can respec whenever you like as well, so it doesn't
Yeah.
really matter.
Yeah, you need a specific item to do full stat respecs,
Yeah.
but by the time you're having that conversation with yourself about whether or not you want to do that, you have a lot of them in your inventory.
Okay. Should we talk a bit about the other two? I'm getting the sense that that's number one. But how do we feel about God of War and Horizon? Because personally, I think Horizon's a better game.
It's a good question because I feel like Horizon has the open world problem, and I don't know that the sequel really addressed that problem. This is one of those things where it's like the first Horizon Zero Dawn came out the same year as Breath of the Wild, which was really bad for them because Breath of the Wild was like, hey, here's the right way to do open world games. And then Horizon was like, oh, we were still doing that the old way. Is that not cool anymore? And I feel like the sequel sort of has that same problem.
It is definitely a traditionally structured open world game.
Mm-hmm.
I think what made me engage with that world more than something like, say, an Assassin's Creed is that the quality of the side shit that you run into is good.
Okay.
It's well written. The characters feel meaningful. What they're doing is meaningful, and you're able to engage with it over a short period of time, which is like key for open world stuff. If you're going to run into things and do stuff for other people, it should feel meaningful. It should feel impactful to the character that you're playing as. And Forbidden West did a good job of that. A lot of the, little towns and villages and tribes that you run into across the Forbidden West, it's easy to get invested in their story and want to help the people that are around that area. That's not necessarily something I felt in the first game. And stack on top of that, combat's a lot better in the second one. It's way more flexible. You can play the game however you want. Like my original run, because I needed to beat the game because I was reviewing it, went with the traditional, bows and arrows, hunter bows, that kind of stuff. But going back through it or starting over, you can avoid that completely. There's lots of other ways to go about doing the same things to enemies, and especially ways to approach the big battles that you wouldn't necessarily expect, but are there. Like it's a lot deeper than it would find itself getting credit for on a single playthrough.
Okay.
So I think that's what sets that one apart from the rest of the open world schlock, to me anyway. I think God of War has some better points. Like the combat in God of War is better than the combat in Horizon. That's not a question, really. But I think the whole package of Horizon is better. It's better written top to bottom, in my opinion. And it's a more intriguing world. Like we were talking about at the beginning of this podcast, Ragnarok is the end of all things. It's the end of the universe. And it doesn't feel like it matters because of how it's written and because of the journey you go on throughout the game. Whereas Horizon, there's lots at stake, but it feels a lot more personal, and each of the characters you run into, it matters to them for a different reason.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, the sense I'm getting from you is Elden Ring number 1, Horizon Forbidden West number 2, God of War Ragnarok number 3. Is that where we're at?
That's where I'm at.
Okay, okay. I feel good about that ranking. Brett?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's right. That's a great ranking. I really like how you put those numbers together. That's really good.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me read this out. Actually, before I read this out, James, do you prefer Tunic or Pokemon Arceus?
I think between the two, I would say Tunic.
Okay. So I've also been thinking, and I think between Signalis and Citizen Sleeper, I would pick Citizen Sleeper.
That's fair. That's fair.
So let me just do some quick rearranging here. Okay, let's see how this feels. Number 10, Immortality.
Yep.
Number 9, WWE 2K22.
Yep.
8, Citizen Sleeper.
Yep.
7, Tunic.
Mhm.
6, Shredder's Revenge. 5, Vampire Survivors.
Yep.
4, Gran Turismo 7.
Yep.
3, God of War Ragnarok.
Mm-hmm.
2, Horizon Forbidden West.
Yep.
And 1, Elden Ring.
Oh my god. That's so good. Oh, it's such a list. It's 10. It's
Is
10
this the
perfect
list?
items. Brett,
I think it might be the list.
you have a chance. Speak your piece, do your dance. Come on, buddy. What do you got? What do you think? What do you think? What do you think? Break it down for me. What do you think?
That sounds good to me.
All right, that's the list. There you have it. For reference's sake, I'm just going to read out what the site voted for. As a whole group, this was the general consensus was 10-1, Gran Turismo 7, Cult of the Lamb, Sifu, Tunic, Plague Tale Requiem, Shredder's Revenge, Vampire Survivors, Forbidden West, God of War Ragnarok, Elden Ring. So yeah, a lot of commonality there.
Yeah. Definitely some copacetic, sympathetic ideas.
Yeah. I didn't love that Immortality was all the way down at 13 on the team list.
Yeah, I personally think that our list is the superior one, if I'm being perfectly honest.
It's the list. It's the definitive list.
That's right.
Mortality sucked.
It sucked its way to 10th best game of the year.
Yes.
That's right.
And sometimes literally.
Yes. occasionally, aside from the deep core drilling, there was some other forms of exploration being engaged in, and that's fine.
Well, if you're still watching or listening, we hope you have enjoyed this little discussion. I think we're probably going to take a bit of time off and regroup in the new year with a new season, season 6. We'll have to come up with a name because this was the face season.
That's
And,
right. Whereas the faces of Press X, season 6, we're gonna have to do something really wild. I don't know. Maybe I'll explore crazy hats. I don't know. We'll see what we do. We're gonna really dig
the hat
deep.
season. I'm into
Yeah.
it. All right. Well, thanks for watching or listening, everybody. We have been the fellas from Press X, the podcast, and we hope you have a really great holiday. Happy New Year. And we will see you back on the other side of the sun. The other side of the sun. Because we're going to go around to 2023.
That's right.
The
That's right.
2023 side.
Or take the
And,
loop.
We'll talk to y'all real soon.